They pulled her out of the car, mocking her as they searched her bag. The officer smirked until he saw her ID. His face went pale. He hadn't just harassed a random woman. He had humiliated the state attorney. But what happened next changed everything. Let's start from the beginning. Officer Richard Gray thrived on control. The badge gave him authority, but it was his attitude that let him wield it however he pleased. In his mind, respect wasn't earned. It was enforced. And right now, he was going to make sure this woman understood exactly who was in charge. She had the kind of presence that irritated him. Too composed, too sure of herself. Gray had seen plenty of people crumble under his scrutiny, stammering excuses, nervous glances, the desperate need to comply. But not her. She stood still, her chin slightly lifted, meeting his gaze without fear. That only fueled his irritation. "Step out of the car," he repeated, his tone sharpening. She didn't hesitate. No resistance, no argument, just quiet obedience. But there was something in the way she moved, slow and deliberate, that made it feel like she was the one allowing this to happen, not him forcing it. Gray didn't like that. As his partner dug through her bag, Gray prowled around her, his presence looming. Every expensive item he pulled out, her phone, her wallet, her keys, felt like an excuse to prod. "Nice phone," he mused, tilting it in his hand. "What do you do? Run a scam?" She didn't respond. "Or maybe you just know the right people." He flipped open her wallet, fishing through cards, dragging out the moment. "Yeah, that sounds more like it." Still nothing. Gray's smirk wavered. No reaction. No frustration. No embarrassment. No fear. Just cold, unreadable patience. She wasn't playing along. "You got a name?" he pressed, snapping his fingers at his partner for the ID. His partner hesitated. Gray narrowed his eyes. "Well?" Then he saw it. The way his partner's face paled as he looked at the card in his hand. Something was wrong. Gray reached for the ID himself, snatching it away. His gaze flicked to the name printed in bold, official letters. And for the first time in a long time, his stomach dropped. The energy on the street had shifted. What started as another routine stop, a display of dominance, a reminder of who held the power, was no longer in Gray's control. The murmurs from the growing crowd mixed with the sound of recording phones. Every second stretched, heavy with something Gray couldn't quite place. And then his partner froze. Gray caught it immediately. The hesitation, the sudden stiffness in his shoulders. His partner was staring at something in his hands, fingers gripping it too tightly, as if holding on to it any longer would change the reality of what it was. Gray's patience snapped. "What is it?" he barked, stepping forward. No response. His partner just stood there, face pale, lips slightly parted like he was about to speak, but couldn't find the words. That made Gray uneasy. With an irritated grunt, he snatched the item from his partner's grip. A sleek leather ID holder, nothing special. But the moment his eyes landed on the embossed lettering inside, something inside him shifted. Andrea Lawson, state attorney. For the first time in years, Gray felt something dangerously close to panic. The pieces clicked together too fast, his mind scrambling to catch up. The way she had stayed so calm, the complete lack of fear, the unwavering eye contact, the quiet confidence. She had never been intimidated because she had never been in danger. He was. His throat went dry. His grip on the ID faltered for just a second before he tightened it again, as if crushing the leather in his hand would undo the last 5 minutes. But it was too late. Andrea Lawson reached out, taking the ID from his unsteady fingers with infuriating composure. She dusted it off, not because it was dirty, but because she had all the time in the world to do so. Then she looked up, locking eyes with him, her expression unreadable. "Do you understand the gravity of what you've just done?" Her voice was calm, too calm. Gray barely heard the low hum of voices around him, the subtle clicks of cameras still recording. He didn't need to look up to know that every single lens was now pointed at him. And for the first time in his career, Richard Gray had no idea what to do. Gray felt the air shift. The tension around him was no longer under his control. The crowd wasn't just watching anymore. They were judging, processing, realizing. The murmurs grew louder, scattered voices cutting through the heavy silence. He could hear snippets. Did he just harass the state attorney? He's screwed. Oh, this is bad. His heartbeat pounded in his ears. He took a step back, instinct taking over, trying to regain control. This was just a routine stop, he forced out, but the words felt flimsy even as he said them. Andrea tilted her head slightly, her gaze unshaken. Was it? She stepped forward, closing the distance between them. Because from where I stand, it looked a lot like abuse of power. Her voice was steady, controlled. Not loud, but sharp enough to slice through the noise around them. Every word carried weight. A little too much enthusiasm for a simple search, wouldn't you say? Gray's throat tightened. He could feel the eyes on him, burning into him like spotlights. She wasn't yelling. She didn't have to. She knew exactly what she was doing. He swallowed hard. He knew exactly what was happening. He was losing. You had no cause to stop me, Andrea continued. No justification for searching my belongings. No probable cause. No reasonable suspicion. Each phrase landed like a hammer, pinning him down, taking away any ground he had left. So tell me, Officer Gray, she said, her voice measured, deliberate. How do you plan to explain this? She wasn't just asking him. She was asking the crowd. She was asking the thousands of people who would see this footage in an hour. She was forcing him to answer to more than just her. Gray opened his mouth, but nothing came out. Because there was no answer. No excuse. He had played this game 100 times, controlled the narrative, twisted the situation in his favor. But now he was the one under scrutiny. And the more he tried to think of a way out, the more he realized. There wasn't one. The video spread like wildfire. Within hours, it was everywhere. News outlets, social media, talk shows. Every frame dissected, every word analyzed. The footage was damning. The smug arrogance in Gray's tone, the way he rifled through Andrea's belongings with casual disrespect. The moment realization hit him like a freight train. People weren't just watching. They were reacting. The anger was immediate and unrelenting. Hashtags calling for Gray's removal trended nationwide. Civil rights groups demanded action. Journalists dug into his past, uncovering a pattern of misconduct complaints. Most dismissed, some buried. This wasn't an isolated incident. It was a symptom of something bigger, and the public was done looking the other way. The pressure was impossible to ignore. By midday, the mayor's office released a statement condemning the incident. By evening, an internal review was announced. By nightfall, Gray was suspended. But Andrea wasn't done. The next morning, she stepped in front of a wall of cameras, the nation watching. She didn't need a teleprompter. She didn't need prepared remarks. She had the truth. This wasn't just an insult to me, she said, her voice steady, unwavering. This was an insult to every person who has ever been targeted, humiliated, or treated as lesser because of who they are. The silence in the room was deafening, and I will not allow it to go unanswered. Her words didn't just land. They hit like a shockwave. The people watching, on their phones, in their homes, in offices and coffee shops across the country, felt it, felt seen, felt heard. For too long, Moments like this had played out with no consequences. Victims forced to swallow their humiliation, while officers like Gray walked away untouched. But not this time. This time, the person on the receiving end of the abuse had power, and she wasn't going to let it slide. Something shifted. No longer would people shrug off injustice as just the way things are. No longer would they lower their heads and move on. Because for the first time in a long time, they had something stronger than anger. They had hope. And as Andrea Lawson had just proven, hope was the most powerful weapon of all.